sleep is important, but I can't sleep. I have trouble falling asleep. Once I fall asleep, I'm fine. And insomnia can show up in a lot of ways. It could be trouble falling asleep. It could be you can fall asleep really easily, but you wake up and then you can't go back to sleep, or that you're just sort of light sleeping throughout the night and, kind of getting up and down throughout the night and kind of missing it. So I like to say, technology hygiene is really important. When we're on our phones, when we're on our computers, we get blue light exposure, and that affects our hormone levels. Even if you're watching TV or on your laptop after 7 p.m., that exposure to that blue light from your computer can interrupt your sleep. It disrupts your melatonin production, which is the hormone of sleep.
But can we speak about sleep? How important is sleep in terms of our health, and how many? Surely we can't all sleep the same amount of hours. I hear 8 hours, I hear 10 hours, I hear 6 hours, I hear, whenever you wake up. What's your opinion on this? We're back. We are here for episode number 2 of Health and Wellness. I mean, the Bible says that we should live the abundant life. Not just live life, that's one thing, but we should live the abundant life. And so the fact that Christ has come that we might have life and have it more abundantly is the reason we're in this discussion. And we have a wonderful guest in our studio, Shelley Poovey, and we are excited today. I want to ask you to comment. I want you to like and to share this episode. And I want you to be interactive as much as you can. It just is good. It's encouraging and uplifting. And not only that, but I want to invite you to our wonderful Sunday services where you can receive word, worship, fellowship, and everything else. That's a part of your health, actually. It's a part of your wellness. It's a part of your spiritual health. And we're here to live the balanced and abundant life. Welcome back. It's so good to have you. And we really enjoyed the other episodes. So welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a great conversation.
It really is. It's a great conversation. I wanted to ask you something. It really came to mind. What do you think about vitamins and taking different supplements as a part of prevention? There's different persuasions, let me call it, where some believe it's an industry that's just there to make money, and others believe it's actually critical. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it's a complicated topic, supplements. And we talked about sort of shortcuts.
Yeah.
And supplements very often fall into that category of this idea, I'm going to take a vitamin or a supplement, and that's going to fix my problems.
Sure.
And we talked about just the culture that we live in, and there's sort of everything's for profit. We live in a time where that is a real driver of what's available. And so it's problematic because it's a real industry. You can make a lot of money off of supplements, and it's not regulated.
It's not regulated.
It's not regulated. And so then you just don't know what you're getting. You just don't know what you're getting if you just buy a supplement off of Amazon and it says it's one thing and it says it's a potency. How do you really know?
Wow. And
even more complicated is, say, some research study comes out and says there's a real health benefit to this supplement, such and such and so XYZ supplement. Then you can find it naturally in foods.
Sure.
Right? Sometimes it needs to be in those foods to activate in your body. It needs to be present with other things, other substances, in order for your body to be able to use it.
So even if you take the supplement or the vitamin, if there's a lack of the other types of foods, it doesn't activate it appropriately.
Right. And there's nothing in the industry that says, oh, well, this has to be made available for the benefit. Right? So if someone wants to isolate that chemical constituent or make a synthetic version, you can call it that all day, every day, and you can take it and it's not doing anything because it's not what they call bioavailable.
Wow.
It's very complex. And so then choosing a supplement that is actually, there are good supplements out there And the word is in there, supplement. It's meant to be a supplement to everything else you're doing. So if you have a nice foundation of whole foods and good lifestyle, there's going to be maybe little places that are missing in what you're getting. It's meant to supplement, right? It's in the word. But you have to do a lot of research and find good sources and make sure that they're processed in a way that's bioavailable. And it gets very complex.
When you say bioavailable,
it's a fancy word, right?
What's that mean?
It means that it's in a form that your body can readily use it. Right.
So if it's not in a bio form, your body may not be able to readily use it.
That's right. So sometimes, let's say turmeric, the sort of chemical word for that is curcumin.
Okay.
So they say, oh, turmeric is good for you, but it's the active ingredient in turmeric that's anti-inflammatory is curcumin. So then somebody decides, okay, let's isolate curcumin and make it a supplement. But is it in the potency and is it in a form that your body can actually get the benefit, the anti-inflammatory benefit of curcumin?
Wow.
So if you take it if you take it in a turmeric root, right, you make it as a grind it and use it in your cooking, guess what? It's with all the other parts of the turmeric. You're cooking it, it's becoming activated with heat, and your body can use it. It's taking it in with food and it's able to digest it. So that's what I mean by bioavailable.
I understand.
Right. And so this is kind of a controversy, with supplements, and I work with my clients on it all the time. And I get really excited when my clients come to me and say, I just get everything through my food now. I don't worry about my supplements. I get very excited.
That's a better position.
It's a better position.
It's almost like a guarantee, you're saying.
Yeah, if you're able to get that through, if there's some big hot new thing that, supplement that everybody's raving about, they're going to try to sell you a supplement. If you can find where that's available in your food,
then go eat the food.
And go eat the food, that's a better way to get that supplement.
It's a guarantee almost.
Well, it depends, because sometimes, let's say something's in food, but it's not at the potency that it needs to get the benefit.
So that's where the supplement could help.
It could,
because it could increase the potency, but you're saying it's layered because it could be synthetic, it could be isolated, and not, a whole that gives you the sort of benefits needed.
Yes.
So if it's an unregulated industry, that's a bit deep. So
it is.
Someone can sell me something and it's not exactly what it says on the tin?
It could be. Now, I mean, technically speaking, if you wanted to contest it and have it, go buy something and test it in a lab and you prove that it's not that.
Yeah, but we're not scientists.
Right. It's expensive,
Put
right?
it under a Bunsen burner.
Exactly. You can send things off to a lab to have them tested. And there are sort of watch groups that will, that's one of the things that they do is they will do lab testing of things to make sure that they're actually what they say they are. And if they if they find something that's claiming to be something it's not, they'll try to hold them accountable. But it's a huge industry. And I mean, especially with something like Amazon now, you can just go on Amazon and buy anything. You don't know where it's from.
What about liquid form supplements?
Well, I think and this is an opinion.
Yeah, sure.
It's backed from all the experience.
Yeah.
But, my opinion is the closer you get to an actual food source, the better. So liquid, I think, generally would be better. When something's, and even when you just brought up the word supplement, I was like, oh, we're opening the Pandora's box because
right.
There's so much to it. But so just to throw more complexity into it, even if your supplements are high quality and bioavailable, is your body in a position to be able to break down the supplements? If you're running on fight flight, the stress response, your body is deprioritizing digestion. It's deprioritizing creating the things in your body we call digestive enzymes to break things down. If your body's not able to break down the supplement, which is going to be in a pill, if your body cannot break that down, you're not going to be able to absorb it.
So you're saying that your body sort of prioritizes. So it prioritizes what? Energy first, and other areas that are more important for it to survive, and then it deals with digestion.
If you're in a stress mode, if you're in the stress response.
Okay.
So this is the age old. In my world, we laugh at this analogy, but it holds true. So it's an evolutionary adaptation that we have for survival. If you're being chased by some scary animal in the forest, running for your life, and you just had a sandwich, how important is it that you digest that sandwich versus run for your life?
Right.
So the body's going to take the energy from your digestive system and move it to your muscles, move it to your periphery, so you can fight or run. That's why we call it fight flight. The system that is much more complicated, but in the most basic sense, it's saying, all I'm thinking about right now is survival. And so the systems run on survival.
So it hasn't got the time to digest this.
That's right.
Supplement, because I'm trying to survive here.
I don't have the resources to. So
it's got to be in a whole sort of form, as it were. So you've got to be living the right lifestyle, eating and sleeping and everything else before your body's going to make the decision of absorbing a supplement.
Or be in a better position to. Be in a better position to absorb it. So not saying it's not doing anything,
sure,
but you're going to get limited benefit when your body is in stress mode, when you're taking a supplement versus when you're eating food, because the act of eating food signals to your body, I'm safe, I'm eating. And it prioritized, it sends those signals, especially if you're cooking. When you cook and you take the time to cook, your body, you're smelling, as you're cutting up your vegetables and preparing, and it's cooking, you're taking in the aromas, and there's molecules from the food that goes in through your body, goes into your nose, into your sinuses, and gets absorbed, and it tells your body, I'm about to eat, and it tells your body what you're about to eat. And so then the body starts preparing for that. It starts making digestive enzymes that actually help you break down the actual foods that you're making in that moment, very specific to that food. So the act of taking your time and cooking foods tells your body you're safe, you're home. It's telling your body what you're about to eat, so that when you sit down to eat it, your body's in a place to be able to eat it.
What about eating fast? I like eating my food very fast.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
It's terrible.
Really? Oh, no.
Eating on the go. And we all do it. Right. Yeah. We all do it. Eating at your desk, eating on the go. It's nice because it's not taking up time.
Sure.
Right. So there's a convenience to that. But in terms of what we're talking about, digestion, absorption of the nutrients, it's not ideal. Yeah. And they're in, we're in that world of the challenge of adopting these different lifestyle changes, because I'm going to have to go to the store, buy the food, plan my meals, buy the food, and then take that time out to cook.
Got
right?
It. Yeah, it's a lot of time. Whereas I can just go into a restaurant and pick up something and go.
Yeah. And so it's on a scale. It's on a dimmer. It's not all or nothing. There's better and worse. But yeah, in terms of signaling your body to be in the right mode to digest, taking that time is sort of like top of the list there.
So going back to the supplements, you would probably advise for vitamins and supplements, you would advise have a good eating lifestyle. And that actually is more important. Is that what you would?
Well, it depends
advise?
on the person, and and the general conversation of supplements is a lot of supplements are just poor quality, and it doesn't matter. You're not going to get any benefit out of the supplement. But if you've gotten hold of some high quality supplements that are readily available, and to your point, you were like, how about liquid form? Powder form, liquid form. And then from the food that you're eating are kind of, the ideal form.
Sure.
When you're in those hard pills, maybe that's like the hardest for your body to break down when it's a solid pill. And then sometimes we have the gel caps that have the
liquid in it.
Yeah, the liquid or the powder in it.
Sure.
But those are more, your body has to work less to absorb those.
Got it.
Right?
So those are a better
easier.
form if you're going to do it.
If you're going to do it. And then a big thing that to be aware of is multivitamins. So, Multivitamin is sort
meant
of like
to do everything from A to Z.
You get all your stuff in one, right?
Yeah.
It's a nice
and I
idea.
always wonder, how can that be?
Well, it can't.
That doesn't make sense, does
Yeah.
it? In one pill, you've got A to Z. Yeah.
Well, they're all there, but we talked about bioavailability. So a lot of the receptors of those molecules are the same. So if you're taking all of them at once, they're all competing for the same receptor sites in your body, at a cellular level.
Sure.
So they can't, only a few of them win. And then, the ones that don't bind, your body just eliminates.
Wow.
So you're eliminating a lot of the vitamins and minerals in a multivitamin rather than actually taking them
So
in.
let's eat well.
Eat well, and you can also break it up. So this isn't an endorsement for a product at all, but it's a one that I recommend a lot to my clients. I don't get any, payoffs or anything for it. But there's a company that makes something called Athletic Greens, and it's a powder, and it's one of these. It's kind of got everything in it: probiotics, and help with healthy gut, and all this stuff. And for my people who are running around in life as if they're being chased by some scary animal, and I'll say we could start with this. We can start with this powder. You're gonna take a scoop, mix it with water or coconut water or something like that, and you're going to sip it throughout the day. So then you're taking it, you're not just taking it all at once.
Sure.
Right? And so it's coming in that powdered form. You're making it into a liquid, and then you're making it more palatable for your body. Wow. And that has benefits. That's a nice way to start, even if you're not at the place where you're cooking at home yet.
I understand, but at least that's a starting.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts about modern technology as it relates to our health? How much is this affecting us? I know we've got blue lights on the phones, and we've got, earbuds, watches, rings now they're doing. What's your belief system as it relates to modern technology? And is it having a negative effect on our health, or is it not really?
Yeah. You're bringing out all the can of worms today. So and I have my personal opinion, and then I'll speak to my personal opinion, and then I'll speak to kind of what I see in my practice.
Sure.
So personally, I try to go less technology.
Okay.
For all the reasons you're saying. When we're on our phones, when we're on our computers, we get blue light exposure, and that affects our hormone levels. Even if you're watching TV or on your laptop after 7 p.m., that exposure to that blue light from your computer can interrupt your sleep. It disrupts your melatonin production, which is the hormone of sleep. So I like to say, technology hygiene is really important. And our
technology hygiene. It's the first time I've heard that. Okay.
I just made it up right now.
Okay, that was good. You thought fast. Sure. So technology hygiene is
very important. It's important to be mindful, and I like the old-fashioned way.
Read a book.
Have a journal. So a lot of these apps and technology that we use are about tracking behaviors, monitoring your biometrics, right? Your heart rate and your, if you carry your phone in your pocket, it counts your steps.
Yep.
That can be good to be aware. Oh, look, I'm not
Done
getting
so many
in
steps today.
Yeah. Make sure I get my 10,000 steps in, right? Some of those baseline things. It can be helpful when you need a baseline or when you're trying to track your behaviors. I've encourage people to journal. How did I feel? What did I eat today, and how did I feel? What was my sleep like? It's slower, and the act of recording it, like writing it out, is actually helping you digest and synthesize.
Sure.
Right?
The information.
And so with a lot of technology, you don't get that. You get information, but it's not being digested.
Sure.
So you've got to do something with the information.
Sure.
The Oura Ring that you were talking about that tracks your metrics, these all can be very good. I find that clients really like them for tracking their sleep, and it can be really helpful to say, I'm staying asleep, but I'm not going into the deeper stages of sleep. So different stages of sleep is when your body is doing different repair.
Wow. So, because I want to get into that. So you're saying that technology after 7 o'clock disturbs the melatonin,
Yes.
which then impacts your sleep pattern. And that's sometimes why we don't sleep well.
Yes, it can be.
Wow. So can we speak about sleep? How important is sleep in terms of our health, and how many? Surely we can't all sleep the same amount of hours. This is the discussion that comes up all the time. I hear 8 hours, I hear 10 hours, I hear 6 hours, I hear, well, whenever you wake up. What's your opinion on this?
If there's one preventative lifestyle change that you could adopt today for the most impact, it would be sleep. If we had to name, yes, sleep.
So that's the number one impact. More than the gym, more than eating good, is sleep.
Yes. Those other lifestyle factors will help you sleep better, right? So we could say them as a secondary benefit would be sleep, right? So
it's almost like a harmony.
Yeah. If you're prioritizing sleep and you're having trouble sleeping, going to the gym, things like that are going to help you sleep better. But the body restores during sleep.
Right.
It repairs, it does immune repair. So if you're running on inflammation all day, when you go into your delta brainwave state, that's when your body says, "Ooh, we don't need to be in inflammation. Let's turn that off and let's turn on, the anti-inflammatory immune system, the one that repairs," right? And we do damage, not in any kind of horrific way, but just throughout the day we're wearing and tearing, putting wear and tear on our bodies, and that kind of repair happens when we're asleep. So if you're missing out on, if you're waking up and going to, if you're kind of waking up throughout the night, you're not getting into the deeper stages of sleep, you're missing the repair. So you're sort of waking up instead of feeling refreshed. It's like you never quite catch up.
Wow. So you're saying unless you're in that deep stage of sleep, the repair is not happening.
Yeah. The body can adapt, but it's not optimal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're resting, but you're not really getting that repair. So how many hours do we need to sleep? And how many hours do we need to have the deep sleep in order to get the repair?
Yeah, great questions. And so if we just look to statistics, 7 to 9 hours on average.
7 to 9?
7 to 9 on average.
Wow.
Who's getting that? I don't think, I'm
not.
Yeah. And, I think people think they need less sleep than they do.
Sure.
So typically somebody who's sleeping 7 to 9 hours is probably, I've had people come in and say to me, I'm sleeping too much. And they're sleeping 7 to 9 hours. Right? So that's the cultural influence.
Sure.
Right?
That we spoke about last episode. Yeah.
Yes. And women need more sleep than men on average.
Really?
Yes.
By how many hours?
Usually like an hour to 2 hours more for women.
Wow.
Than men. And so women are typically the ones coming in and saying, I'm sleeping too much, or, my husband says I always sleep in, right? And they need a little bit more. They need a little bit more. And so there's some variation in that, right? And a lot of people will say to me, okay, yes, sleep is important, but I can't sleep. I have trouble falling asleep. Once I fall asleep, I'm fine. Insomnia. And insomnia can show up in a lot of ways. It could be trouble falling asleep. It could be you can fall asleep really easily, but you wake up and then you can't go back to sleep. Or that you're just sort of light sleeping throughout the night and, kind of getting up and down throughout the night and kind of missing out on some of the deeper sleep. So what I tell people, and it's an important thing to understand if you're, I used to be a night owl. I have a kind of, I have that background, a creative background. Creative types tend to like nighttime. I felt more creative and more productive, like after 11 p.m. In my younger years, I would stay up till 3 a.m. a lot.
But that's not healthy, is it?
It's awful.
Because the sun, you're not getting the vitamin D.
That's right. That's right. So we can get locked into, and I think I adopted it as a badge of honor as being a creative person. I kind of it was part of my identity.
I'm at night, getting all this creativity.
Yeah, I get my best work at that time. And so after years and years of that, it did have an impact. And when I started understanding the importance of sleep hygiene, then
tech hygiene, sleep hygiene.
Yes, it's all the hygienes today.
All the hygienes, yeah.
And then that was the motivation I needed. Some of the health challenges I was having were tied to that, habit that I had, and it was enough to inspire me to shift. And when I started prioritizing getting to bed earlier and getting up earlier, I felt so much more creative, so much more productive, and it's easy to get caught up in that. We have busy lives, and if we feel like we're kind of running on fumes all day, and then we get home, we have a little bit of time to ourselves. It's so easy to want to just kind of scroll.
Yeah, to say, right, now it's me time.
Yeah.
Because I've got in at 8 o'clock, for example, and then before you know it, it's past midnight.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. And then your body has gone into its second wind that it will get to, because the hormones will kind of kick up and, kind of keep you awake, and then you don't get as good of a quality of sleep.
So what's the best time to sleep?
Yeah. So this is a little bit of Chinese medicine theory, but it's tied into the hormonal rhythms of cortisol and melatonin, which regulate your sleep and wake
cycle. Because sometimes you feel really tired around 10. And if you stay up past maybe 12, then the tiredness goes.
That's right.
And then you're like, I can't sleep anymore.
That's right.
So there's sort of
there's a window.
And troughs, isn't there?
There's window.
Windows,
yeah. So, and it's important that you... So the ideal window is 10 p.m. sleep.
Yeah.
Wake up before 7 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And there would be some variations there depending on the person. But for exactly the reason you said, because the melatonin is starting to rise.
Sure.
And if you push yourself to stay up, your body's going to use the cortisol to keep you awake, right? And then the cortisol is active.
Wow.
So in the morning, if you wake up naturally in the morning, it's like you're asleep and all of a sudden you're like, blink, blink, I'm here. What does that? It's cortisol. It's cortisol. So if you're running on stress and your cortisol levels are high and they're not quite getting down to their baseline levels, you're going to have trouble sleeping, or you're going to wake up early. Sometimes people who wake up too early is because their cortisol levels are high and it's waking them up. So when you start to practice that sleep hygiene and just start to make those habits of, I'm going to start to get offline around 7 p.m., start to wind down, read my book, be boring, just be super boring. Just so boring.
It's so boring.
Yeah. That's going to, when that little window happens, when the melatonin kicks up, you're just going to, nod off. And then that your body's in a better rhythm to be able to go into some of that repair.
That's awesome. The Bible says that Jesus says, I will give you rest. And rest is so important. We're learning that because it helps us to repair. I've noticed something, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but in my travels, and I travel a lot of places, I just came from the Caribbean, and I see this problem in Europe, I see it in America, I see it in Canada, and it particularly peaked after COVID. The younger generation are up through the night. They're sleeping through the day. And those of you that are watching, you have children, grandchildren, or you're a young person watching, but there's a whole army of youth that are up all through the night and sleep up until almost 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. in the afternoon, particularly when they're off school or what have you. Have you noticed that or heard of that, or have you come up and heard any of that happening? Because I'm mindful of what health impacts that may have if this trend continues.
Absolutely. I mean, it is important to say that in the teenage years, the hormonal fluctuations of teenagers, they do tend to sleep in.
Sure.
Even without technology, you're going to see that in your teen years, but it should just be that little window.
Maybe 12, 11 a.m., that's 12 o'clock maybe.
Yeah. Or, wanting to sleep. The hormones are all crazy.
Sure. Right.
Through those years. And so you do see that teenagers do need more sleep, and they're going to want to sleep in. They're going to be more tired. And so that's kind of, having said that, the technology and the introduction of technology, especially with children interacting with technology as soon as they're born, is just changing their brains. It's changing their nervous system. There's no baseline there to jump off of, right? To know the difference to. So absolutely. And, we will have to see in years to come, what the implications of that on, the sleep cycles and the hormones of that. But we're having this conversation about the health implications of sleep disruption. And I didn't say this before, but if someone has a second shift job, a third shift job, if they have work where they're rotating the shift that they, so maybe they work a certain shift for 2 weeks.
Daytime, then nighttime.
Yeah, and they're switching. That is very detrimental to the health, the long-term health. Even if you worked shift work for 5 years and then you didn't work shift work again for 15 years, there's still evidence that shows there's long-term health impact from that shift work from long ago.
Wow.
So disruption to your sleep cycles, really is something to be aware of. Now, if you have to work shift, not everybody has a choice. Sometimes you have to work second, third shift or those rotating shifts. But then the key is to stay on that shift, even on your days off.
Wow.
So that consistency of that sleep schedule, like I said, the body will adapt, right? If you're not asleep from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., all that work that your body's doing, if you have a consistent schedule that's something else, your body will figure out a way to do it at another time. So it is adaptable that way. It's very smart. But you want to stay consistent with whatever your sleep schedule is for as long as you're on it.
So what about like pilots who find themselves in different time zones? Mm-hmm. Is that a disruption to the sleep pattern?
Yes. People who travel for work. I'm in New York City. I work with a lot of corporate executives, and they travel primarily in their job. And over time, you'll see there's impact to sleep, impact to digestion. You'll see some of these chronic health issues start to creep up over time. And then it becomes a kind of a call to awareness of, what am I going to do about this?
Sure.
It's not sustainable.
Change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That is fascinating.
So if we have that knowledge already of the impact on shift work and travel, lots of changes and demands on our circadian rhythms, that's what they're called, our internal clock. And we have a master clock in the brain that's sort of the conductor of all the other clocks. But there's little gene clocks, little circadian clocks in all of your organs. And they all need to ideally be synced to one another so that they're working together. So if you've got one on one time zone and one on another time zone, right? They sort of they slowly get out of sync, and that's where you'll see things break down. So if we've got that, we already have that understanding. Thinking about the younger generation and the challenges that they are facing with where we are technologically. We're relying on technology.
Yeah.
You're glued to your phones or your computers all the time, right? And if you're in the blue light and that's disrupting your circadian rhythm, you don't get any cues to fall asleep.
Yeah, because in the generations past, the TV would just, go down. It'd be like night TV or something.
You get static.
And then you're like, right, well, it's nighttime. May as well go to bed. There's nothing to do. But now with devices, you're saying it's daytime all the time.
That's right.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
Wow. AI is going to also really change that as well dramatically, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's going to really add to this technology shift, which is really incredible. So if someone was to come to your practice and sort of say, look, I'm having trouble sleeping, I'm not doing night shifts, or I'm not sort of going in different time zones, how would you identify what the problem could be? Could it be stress, or maybe different things, their minds over processing? What would you do? Sort of question them and find out what's happening, and how would you then advise them?
Yeah, we would
get this 7 to 9 hours, and if you're a female, 11 then, I suppose. Or 9,
7 to 9 for women.
Oh, 7 to 9
the
for
9
women.
The 9 hours is this sort of for women.
Okay,
the 7 is for men.
Okay,
yeah,
so I'm not doing too bad. I'm somewhere around 6. Okay.
Yeah, not too bad.
Not bad. Maybe an hour extra.
And everybody's different. Some people may only need 6,
sure.
right? It kind of depends. So, this comes up a lot in my practice. And, when people come in, the most important thing is to not relate to these things as problems, because that can add to stress. If you've ever had a sleepless night, the fact that you're not sleeping, you're thinking about what you have to do tomorrow and how are you going to have the energy and how are you going to show up? It's like the stress of not getting sleep adds to the stress.
Sure.
So we start with mindset of, I mean, these are really simple things. Don't look at the clock. Stay focused on your breath. There's a lot of breath practices where you're just sort of focusing on your breath and your body that will actually turn off some of the overthinking.
Sure.
Right? It'll help you kind of relax. So if you're wound up, all stressed out from running around all day in our culture that rewards all of that, and then you try to, like we said, you come home and then it's like, okay, I finally have some me time.
Yeah.
I'm going to scroll. I'm going to this. Now I'm thinking about my day. It's like your mind has trouble turning off.
Sure.
So we start there with ways to just some habits and practices, breath work, mindfulness, to help just cue the body to turn that off.
Sure.
We start with sleep hygiene. What are you doing between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m.? Eating late
that's a problem,
a challenge. Yeah. Eating late is a challenge.
What's late? Past 7?
No. Actually, I would say past 9.
Past
so
9.
If you're eating past 9.
Okay. So I can have a full meal at 8.
8:30.
Sure.
You're good. Because you're then you've got time to digest before you start to turn in around 10.
Is it true that if you eat, let's say, 3 p.m. and you don't eat again, so you're kind of going to bed hungry, that hunger can disrupt your sleep?
It can. Yeah. So intermittent fasting is kind of a fad right now where you sort of work with like windows in which you're eating or not eating. And that is also, a highly controversial kind of a topic, and ideally is really done under the supervision of someone professional who can help you with that, because there's a lot of fads and trends, and it can be a lot of misinformation. And to your point, if you're not choosing the right window, or if you're not taking in enough calories in your eating window and you're hungry, that can actually create more stress for the body, and you can have a setback. So there's a little bit of an art and science to intermittent fasting.
Sure.
But if you're not hungry and your body has already kind of finished digestion, then it's, the act of digesting toward the ends of the day, it's going to pull your blood flow into your belly. It's going to help kind of ground. It's going to help you fall asleep. It's part of that.
Sure.
As long as you're not eating too late. If you're eating too late, then your body is competing. Am I digesting the food or am I sleeping?
Wow. So it's doing too much.
It's doing too much. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you'll see with people who eat late and who doesn't. I mean, you're working late, you get home, then you're ordering food. It's not coming till late, and then you're stuffing down some pizza, at 10 p.m.
Pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, pepperoni pizza at 10 p.m. And then you're not quite sleeping well. You're not doing either well. You're not digesting well and you're not sleeping well because it's competing. I work with people all the time. They wake up and they don't feel hungry. Why don't they feel hungry? Because their food really didn't digest.
Got it.
Then they're skipping breakfast, but the body still needs energy. So it's going to spike all of your stress hormones to give you energy. And now you're kind of running on adrenaline all day. And that becomes a cycle. It becomes a cycle because then you're not tired. You hear tired and wired. If you're tired and wired, it's like you're tired, but you can't come down.
Wow.
Right? So we start looking at those kind of factors. Some people might have that habit and some people might not. So we might look at all those different things. But overall, we're going to look at mindset and just kind of setting you up for success to get those cues into the body that, it's time to sleep. Right?
Wow.
So that's how we start. And it's really not that hard to even just, if you want to do it on your own, it's like, let me just start. Let me just start by trying to power down, right? And then just kind of see how your body responds. Some people really do have insomnia. They really do struggle with sleep. And the idea of even facing that is so stressful and so overwhelming because it's already such a stressor.
Sure. So facing it actually creates more stress.
Absolutely. And because anybody who has insomnia is thinking about it all the time. They feel tired all the time. They don't have energy. It's preventing them from being able to show up in their relationships present and be as productive as they know. They can't be their best self. And so they're probably working on it. and they just haven't figured out what works. So with that, one of the more recent research studies that I've found that I love for people like this is that meditation, breath work, mindfulness have very similar benefits to sleep.
Okay.
So if you're having trouble sleeping, rather than trying to tackle that first, I'm going to give you, take 10 to 15 minutes out of your day and maybe do a guided meditation online.
Amen.
Or just step into like a mindfulness class or a yoga class or some kind of mind-body movement, something that's giving you a mind-body connection that is, then you don't have to, stress about falling asleep.
Got it.
You're getting it is like sleep. It takes you into some of those different areas of rest and, that the brain goes into where you can do some of the repair.
That's amazing.
It is.
And do you believe there's a connection between sleep and performance? Or I'm speaking about in terms of your job. One of my mentors told me when I've got to preach, get a good night's rest the day before, because your brain is more alert, it thinks more, you're more connected between your mind, your spirit and your body. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And
so if you're going for an exam or a driving test, or you're doing something, you've got a critical meeting, or you want to do well at work, getting a good night's rest is essential.
And you can even think about it even before the night before.
Okay.
So maybe in the week leading up to, make sure you're getting rest in the week or weeks.
Okay, sure.
Because let's say you have a race or you have a big, if you have some big event that you're presenting at, maybe the night before you're kind of amped up, right? Maybe, you don't need to be stressing out about getting a good night's sleep that night before.
Sure.
So if you've built up and you've had good sleep and you're prepared, if you have trouble sleeping that night, you still feel rested.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got that rest in, which is always working for you in that kind of way. I think that is just fantastic how important sleep is. And as you said, it's one of the number one elements of having that lifestyle, and that healthy lifestyle. What do you believe, we're speaking about prevention and we've been speaking about that last episode. What do you feel about these new weight loss injections and these quick fix health sort of medications? Are you a proponent of those, or are you not really a big fan?
Well, I mean, as a coach, part of what I love about being a coach is that my opinion isn't as important as I would like it to be.
Sure.
And it's sort of that it's holding space for that gap between sort of what the medical establishment is saying, this is what you should be doing, this is, and the reality of a person.
Sure.
Right? And they're living their life and they ultimately have to decide.
Sure.
So for me, I'm like, as a coach, I'm going to inform you as best I can about the options and, what's working or, what's your best bet.
Sure.
And then you get to decide and I'll be there with you.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
I was shocked when I was going through my coach training and I learned that people statistically are more successful at making lifestyle changes when they're choosing them themselves. So if I tell you what to do, you're more likely to just feel like, oh, well, you told me what to do and I did it and it didn't work, so you were wrong. Right. So the responsibility isn't on you. But if you choose, you can say, oh, I learned a lot when I did that. So even if it wasn't necessarily the best choice, you can say, well, I tried that and I learned something and that didn't work, so now I'm ready to try something else. So it's more, you feel more empowered.
So how do you or encourage the person to make the choices themselves?
Yeah.
Do you just lay out the options?
Lay out the options.
Okay.
So when it comes to those medications, I mean, the evidence there is stunningly not good.
Sure.
Yeah. The evidence for the GLP-1 drugs, there's more and more research every day. And I mean, the issue with these drugs is when they come out, we don't have a lot of research. We might have short term, maybe they've done some clinical trials, but we don't really know the long-term effects of these kind of things. So it's hard to say, and people are like, well, this is new and maybe I'll try it. I've tried everything else. I've tried to lose weight and I can't. So maybe I'll try this. I see people losing weight. Well, as the research is coming out, these GLP-1 drugs are also deteriorating your muscle. You're not just losing fat, you're losing muscle. So what they're doing now is they're prescribing with it another medication that protects muscle mass.
Oh, man. Wow.
So there's a lot of these strategies.
Yeah.
But always what I tell people is if you're going to use something like that, it's a short-term fix, judgment-free. If you're going to use something like that, we need to be building underneath it.
Sure.
The lifestyle changes.
So you could use that, have the lifestyle changes, so at least you get to a good weight and then still implement the lifestyle changes.
Right, because you are getting the weight loss with the drug, but you're also getting the side effects, right? The muscle loss and all of that.
Yeah.
And so if you're still, while you're doing that, you're going to the gym, you're changing your eating habits. It's going to be easier because the drug changes your appetite.
Sure.
Right? So it's like, okay, well, let's just kind of ride that wave. If that's happening, while that's happening and you're not getting those same cravings, let's build a healthy lifestyle. And at some point you're going to come off the drug.
And then what will happen?
If you don't, and
if you don't have the lifestyle, then you'll
gain the weight back. That's what's been happening for people. Is they'll get off the drugs and then they'll get the weight gain will come. And so then, I recommend people try the lifestyle changes first. And then if you hit that wall, then we can look at another choice. I recommend that to people. I always recommend to start with the lifestyle choices, because even if you end up deciding to go on the medication or whatever that short-term quick fix strategy is that we're talking about, you're in a better baseline to get the benefit, and you're going to need it for less time, right? Maybe you need a little booster or something like that. So I try to encourage people with that. And to pretty good success, I've inspired a lot of people who wanted plastic surgery, who, wanted to hop on this trend of these drugs and things like that. And then, you sit down and you have a good educational conversation. And, I would say 8 out of 10 people will get inspired to just make the lifestyle changes. And, then there's the other 2. And, we just keep it a conversation.
Sure. Yeah. That's so great. How can people get in touch with you, with your practice and what you do?
Good question. So, you can find me online. I have a website, Bodyattune, BODYATTUNE, bodyattune.com.
Bodyattune,
yeah. And I do a lot of things, but they're all in this umbrella of peak performance.
Sure.
I like the concept of peak performance. It's really about you're unique. You're absolutely unique. And what you need to be your best is unique to you.
Wow.
And we can look at that, through all the dimensions of your life and, how to enhance that rather than, bringing it back to the conversation we had last time of prevention versus cure, rather than fix this thing. I'm showing up with some kind of crisis. We need to fix it. It's like, how do we nourish, get everything working together and find that balance. And as a result of that, sure, we're going to be resolving some of those underlying issues that maybe brought you into the door, but we're also building a new baseline. So then you're not getting, you're not going to be coming back to me in 6 months or a year with the same issue.
Sure.
We want to keep that moving, forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. We've really, really enjoyed these 2 episodes on health and wellness. Shelley Poovey has really given us some diamond nuggets, some gems that we can learn and improve on. And as you heard the information where you can make contact and improve your life as well. Because as the Bible tells us that we should improve day by day and encourages us to live our best life, our most healthy life, long life. God gave Job double the amount of years, and I believe God's going to do that for you. Why don't you join us every Sunday at 10:30, and the information is on the screen where you can locate where we are. I really want you to come along, be blessed, uplifted, and God will take you to the next level. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next episode. We're taking this higher. God bless you, and see you next time.